Welcome back, everybody. I'm Michael Foley, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to hold the pads for combat sports. There's three things I want you to keep in mind when you're working on holding mitts for your partner. The first one is you want to give them ample resistance. So I want to clap back at my partner's punches and kicks so that I don't jar up my elbows, hurt my shoulders. And I also want to give them something to work against, like a realistic type impact. The second thing is I don't want to do the work for them. I don't want to get into a situation where I'm reaching out to do the work for my partner. They're going to have to come to me, so I just want to keep it nice and tight to my body and let them do the work. And then the third thing is to give them a realistic position of targets. I see this all the time, people holding mitts and their hands are out here and then their partner's punching one mitt then the other. This would be the equivalent of punching two different people in the face. What I want you to do instead is imagine that there's a head right here in front of you, in between you and your partner, and I'm bringing the target up to the position that they should be punching on that person's head. I've got Muhammad back with me for a couple more weeks before he takes off back to England, so we're going to use him a lot in the next couple of videos. Just to go back over those three things I want you to keep in mind. The first one was resistance. What I mean by that is if I let Muhammad throw that cross and I don't give him any resistance at all, crack it, go. That's going to open up my shoulder. I'm going to start getting pulled muscles, damage to my joints, damage to my elbows. And on top of that is he's not getting a realistic feel behind the punches. What he should do is come up against a semi-hard target, but not a brick wall. So I want there to be a little bit of give. A good way to practice this is as the punch is coming in, clap back at it. Give it a little high five. I don't need to slam into the guy and let him bring up solid to shorten up his punch. I'm bigger than he is, so that would happen if I leaned into it too much. I just want to give him enough resistance that I can feel his knuckles sink into the pad before he pulls it back. A couple of examples. Jab, cross. The Mayweathers can get away with this. They have a system. They've got their whole mitt routine where the mitt guy is doing a ton of work too. I see people emulating this online all the time. I see people emulating it in the club, but it's not the most effective way to develop somebody's basic skills. That would be like an advanced type of mitt holding for a specific purpose. But what I want you to do instead is, instead of doing the work where you reach for your partner to throw punch combinations and I'm doing a ton of the work too, watch what happens if I get him to throw ones and twos repeatedly if I do the work for him. Look how short his punches become. Instead, what I want him to do is he's going to do 90% of the work. I'm just going to come out to meet him a little bit. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then the third point was a realistic position of targets. If we're squared up like this, what I want to do is I want to present the target. Basically, Muhammad's not aiming for my head. There's an imaginary opponent right here in front of him, and this is where the mitts are going to be. So if the two of us are squared off, I want him to position his punches right here in front of me. So his jab will connect here. I'm gonna replace that jab with the mitt for the cross. And then I'm gonna replace that cross with the position for the hook. So what I don't wanna do is catch for those three punches like this. Nice and wide, that's two separate people. That's one guy over here and one guy over here. I'm gonna replace the mitts right here in front. So the jab would go forward, I'd replace that with the cross, and now the hook, I'm not gonna hold it over on this side because he'd be blasting all the way through this guy's head. I'm gonna bring it all the way over to this side. So like he's hitting the right side of the person's head. Putting all that together, it should look kind of like this. We'll keep this simple just for the purpose of the basics. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. Okay, let's move on to Thai pads. With the punches, it's basically the same thing. I want to present the target right here in front of him. I want to give him resistance, and I want to give him a realistic expectation of where the targets are going to be. With the kicks, this is where this changes, and this is why I use the belly pad. With the kicks, there's two ways of doing this. I can stand square with my partner, put the tops of my mitts together, and bring them over my side here, making sure that I keep my elbows in nice and tight. And I do that because if he throws a kick properly and is smashing his shins into the pad, I don't want his foot to hit the top of my elbow right there. That's a great way for him to break his foot. As a trainer, I want to keep my elbows in nice and tight. The first way, I'm going to stand square with him, and from here, he can throw crisp boxing combinations like a 1-2, and then follow it up with a switch kick. And I don't need to change my stance for that. The other way is I'm gonna turn side on when I catch the kicks. I'm gonna hold these tight to the pad right here, and when he throws the kick, I brace this way. Either one's fine. This is the way my trainers in Thailand did it, and this is the way most of my trainers in North America did it. Either way is fine. It really depends on what you're trying to set up. I'm gonna teach you how to catch 2 different kicks. We're gonna work on the teep and we're gonna work on the roundhouse kick. The teep, I'm front on to my partner. I'm gonna put the Thai pad right here, just tuck it in behind the belly pad, and I'm gonna turn slightly side on so my hip bone's gonna take a little bit of this, and then I'm gonna lean into it. When you lean into it, you don't tip over with your upper body. You lean into it by pushing your hip forward. So when Muhammad throws that teep, my hip goes forward, and I push my back foot into the floor here. Go. Teep. He gets good resistance, and I don't get knocked back. If I keep my heels on the floor and I sit my butt back, when he hits me with that teep, he's gonna drive me back fairly easily. With the roundhouse kick, tops of the mitts together, elbows in tight to your body, and then you got a preference. You can either turn front on and catch the kick this way, or stay front on to your partner here where I can catch punches and then just quickly bring it to the side. Either way is fine. The biggest mistake I see new people make with this is not enough resistance. They'll drop the pads here, and then when their partner kicks, no resistance, and they end up punching themselves in the face. Let's put all that together. So from here, I'm catching punches, 1, 2, 3. I'm catching roundhouse kicks, and I can catch teeps. Ready? Yeah. Jump across. Thanks again for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'm Michael Foley. I'll see you on the mats.